the truth behind a missing woman, the Carly McBride story. In a quiet town with seemingly ordinary lives, one story stands out, filled with twists, heartbreak, and unanswered questions. Today, we're diving into a gripping Reddit story that will leave you on the edge of your seat. If you enjoy unraveling tales like this, don't forget to subscribe and give this a like to stay connected for more fascinating stories. Let's uncover the details and follow the journey that took an unexpected and chilling turn. Carly McBride came into the world in April 1983, born to Steve McBride and Lauren Williams in Australia. She grew up in a loving, tight-knit family surrounded by care and support. As a young girl, Carly was cheerful, active, and full of promise. Her early years were marked by happiness and familial closeness, but as she transitioned into her teenage years, her life began to take a more troubled path. She fell in with a problematic crowd, a decision that would have lasting consequences on her future. What began as youthful experimentation with alcohol and recreational drugs soon spiraled into a deeper issue that would shape much of her adult life. By 2013, Carly had reached a point where she recognized the need to make a change. Determined to turn her life around, she sought help at a rehabilitation center. It was during this critical phase of her life that she met Ket Yum, also known as SL, a fellow patient who was struggling with his own addiction issues. The two quickly bonded over their shared battles and found solace in each other's company. Their connection, forged during some of the most challenging times of their lives, extended beyond the confines of the rehab facility, forming the foundation of a relationship that would later become romantic. By August 2014, Carly and SL's friendship had developed into a romantic relationship. Those around them noticed that while their connection was strong, it was not without its challenges. They occasionally had heated arguments, as any couple might, but they also seemed to find comfort and stability in one another. Together, they attempted to navigate the complexities of life, supporting each other in maintaining sobriety and striving for a sense of normalcy. At this point, Carly was 31 years old, living in Belmont, New South Wales, a small, close-knit town with a population of just over 7,000 people. Carly was not only a partner to SL, but also a devoted mother to two children from previous relationships. Her 7-year-old son, William, and 3-year-old daughter, Caden, were central to her world. While details about her relationship with William's father remain unclear, Carly maintained an ongoing connection with Caden's father, Andrew Easton. Despite the challenges of co-parenting, she was committed to being present in her children's lives. Her role as a mother was a significant part of her identity, and she worked hard to balance her responsibilities while continuing to rebuild her life. On September 30th, 2014, Carly's life took a tragic and mysterious turn. That day, SL drove her to Muswell Brook, a town where Andrew Easton lived with their daughter, Caden. Carly was eager to spend time with Caden, but tensions arose between her and Andrew during the visit. The disagreement led Carly to decide to leave Andrew's home on foot and head to a nearby McDonald's approximately 20 minutes away to have lunch. What should have been a routine outing turned into something far more ominous. Carly set off alone, and it was the last time either Andrew or SL would see her. Later that afternoon, when Carly failed to return or contact anyone to arrange a ride back, concern began to grow. Andrew and SL realized something was amiss. SL, worried about her safety, drove to McDonald's to look for her, expecting to find her waiting. However, Carly was nowhere to be found. Adding to their alarm, her phone was dead, leaving them with no way to reach her. The unfolding mystery of her disappearance left those who loved her grappling with fear and uncertainty, marking the beginning of a heartbreaking search for answers. SL drove around the area searching frantically for Carly, but his efforts yielded no result. The investigation quickly centered on Andrew, the last person known to have seen Carly. Police considered him a key figure in unraveling the mystery and began their inquiry by questioning him extensively. Officers also spoke to neighbors and residents in the vicinity, asking if anyone had seen Carly walking toward McDonald's that afternoon. Strangely, no one could confirm seeing her leave Andrew's house. Compounding the mystery, surveillance footage from cameras near Andrew's property and McDonald's failed to show Carly at any point, leaving investigators with no visual confirmation of her movements. As police expanded their search, they combed through the areas surrounding Andrew's house, including nearby wooded sections and open fields. Despite their efforts, No evidence emerged to explain Carly's disappearance. It seemed as if she had simply vanished without a trace. Law enforcement issued a public appeal for help, urging anyone with information to come forward. The statement included a description of Carly. She had last been seen wearing sandals, blue jeans, and a bright yellow t-shirt, carrying a beige handbag. Despite these efforts, no leads materialized and the case began to stall. A few days later, investigators, now more suspicious of Andrew, obtained a warrant to search his home. A team of officers and forensic experts meticulously examined the property for any clues that might point to foul play. However, the search proved fruitless. There were no traces of blood, no signs of a struggle, and no evidence that a crime had occurred inside the house. This lack of physical evidence left police at a standstill, further deepening the mystery surrounding Carly's fate. Around the same time, investigators uncovered a chilling piece of information. Carly's social media account had been deleted just hours before SL reported her missing. The discovery added a new layer of complexity to the case, raising questions about whether Carly had deleted the account herself or if someone else had done so to cover their tracks. Despite this troubling lead, it provided no clear answers, leaving the investigation shrouded in uncertainty. As days turned into weeks, the lack of progress weighed heavily on those closest to Carly. The community grew increasingly concerned, but with no solid evidence or reliable sightings, the case seemed to hit a dead end. Carly's disappearance remained an unsolved puzzle, with every new piece of information only deepening the sense of unease and mystery. Investigators were deeply unsettled by the deletion of Carly's social media account. The timing of the deletion, mere hours before SL reported her missing, raised several critical questions. Did Carly herself deactivate the account, or was it someone else trying to erase digital evidence? Detectives began scrutinizing her social media activity in the days leading up to her disappearance, hoping to uncover any clues or interactions that might shed light on her fate. Friends, family, and acquaintances were asked to recall whether Carly had mentioned any suspicious behavior or threats, but no immediate leads emerged. The digital silence only added to the growing enigma surrounding her case. Carly's parents, Steve and Lorraine, were inconsolable as the days dragged on without answers. They adamantly rejected the idea that their daughter had simply chosen to leave her life behind. Carly's love for her two children, William and Caden, was a cornerstone of her existence, and her family was certain she would never willingly abandon them. Steve described Carly as a woman of remarkable resilience who had worked tirelessly to rebuild her life after years of struggle. Lorraine spoke about Carly's devotion to her children, emphasizing how her motivation to recover from addiction was driven by her desire to provide a better life for them. Friends and those who knew Carly closely supported her parents' convictions. Many described her as a vibrant, confident, and empathetic individual who was always ready to lend a helping hand. They recalled that in the days leading up to her disappearance, Carly had been acting completely normal. There was no evidence of distress, no signs of fear, and certainly no indications that she intended to vanish. On the contrary, she appeared focused and determined, a woman working hard to build a better future for herself and her family. The police continued their efforts relentlessly, employing every resource at their disposal. Search and rescue dogs were deployed to comb through the dense bushland around Andrew's home and nearby areas. Divers scoured nearby lakes, rivers, and water reservoirs, while helicopters conducted aerial sweeps across vast stretches of terrain. Despite their exhaustive efforts, no trace of Carly was found. Not a single personal belonging, not a shred of evidence. Nothing provided any clue about what might have happened to her. Each day, without new information, chipped away at the hopes of those who loved her. As weeks turned into months, the investigation into Carly McBride's disappearance stalled. There were no new leads, no eyewitnesses, and no activity on her bank accounts or phone. Her social media remained silent, leaving detectives to consider the grim possibility that Carly was no longer alive. Without concrete evidence, however, the case lingered in limbo, frustrating both investigators and her family. Yet beneath this public facade of a grieving, devoted boyfriend, SL's private actions painted a far more concerning picture. In the hours immediately following Carly's disappearance, SL reportedly propositioned another woman, a move that shocked those who learned of it. Just 3 days later, on October 2nd, SL visited the home of yet another woman. These actions cast serious doubt on the sincerity of his grief and raised alarms among investigators. If SL was truly heartbroken over Carly's disappearance, why was he pursuing other women so soon after she vanished? This stark contradiction in behavior made SL a person of intense interest in the investigation. His public efforts to assist in the search for Carly were seen in a new light, and detectives began to question whether these actions were genuine or part of an attempt to deflect suspicion. While SL continued to maintain his innocence and involvement in the search, the revelations about his private conduct only deepened the mystery and heightened the urgency to uncover the truth about what had really happened to Carly McBride. 2 days before Carly's disappearance, tensions between her and SL reached a breaking point. SL had discovered messages Carly had exchanged with other men on social media, sparking a heated argument. Friends later recounted that their fights, often fueled by SL's jealousy, were not uncommon. However, despite his controlling tendencies and volatile behavior, investigators lacked sufficient evidence to link him definitively to Carly's disappearance. Months turned into years with no major breakthroughs in the case, leaving Carly's family in agonizing limbo as they waited for answers. The turning point came on August 7, 2016, nearly 2 years after Carly vanished. Two locals walking in a rural area near Scone stumbled upon a shallow grave hidden near a house, just meters from the road. When authorities arrived at the scene, they uncovered human remains. Forensic analysis soon confirmed the devastating truth. The remains were those of Carly McBride. The discovery ended years of speculation and hope, but opened the door to new questions about who had taken her life and why. Law enforcement delayed publicly announcing the news for 4 days, carefully reviewing the evidence collected over the years to determine their next steps. Detectives quickly dismissed the possibility that Carly's murder had been a random act of violence. The remote location of the grave and the shallow burial suggested that whoever was responsible had taken deliberate steps to hide her remains. While police issued a press release confirming the discovery, they refrained from naming any suspects at that time. Instead, they stressed the need to process the vast amount of evidence they had gathered, including items recovered near the burial site. Carly's mother, Lorraine, spoke to the media after the announcement, expressing a bittersweet sense of relief. "At least now we can lay her to rest," she said tearfully. Yet, her plea for justice remained unwavering. "Please, find the person who took my baby." Over the following 10 months, investigators worked tirelessly to build their case. This painstaking effort culminated on June 19, 2017, when police arrested SL on suspicion of Carly's murder. He was handcuffed and taken to the station for questioning. Despite the mounting evidence against him, SL maintained his innocence, denying any involvement in Carly's death. His arrest marked a significant milestone in the case, but it was far from the end of the story. Around this time, another individual, James Kane, emerged as a person of interest. Kane had been arrested 2 years earlier on unrelated charges in the same region where Carly's remains were found. Investigators uncovered a link between Kane and Carly. The two had met in 2013 at the rehabilitation center, where Carly had sought help for her addiction. Though they left the facility at different times, they had stayed in touch afterward. As detectives delved deeper, disturbing details came to light. Evidence suggested that Kane had assisted SL in burying Carly's body in the shallow grave near Scone. This revelation added a new layer of complexity to the case, as it became apparent that Carly's death involved more than one perpetrator. The possibility of collusion between SL and Kane raised chilling questions about the events of September 30th, 2014. The trial of SL began in August 2017 and stretched on for years due to the largely circumstantial nature of the evidence. Prosecutors argued that SL, in a jealous rage, had intercepted Carly after she left her ex-partner Andrew Easton's house following an argument. They contended that SL had taken Carly to the rural location near Scone, where he ultimately ended her life. The prosecution's case relied on piecing together witness testimonies, phone records, and forensic evidence from the burial site. Meanwhile, the defense sought to sow doubt, pointing to the lack of direct physical evidence tying SL to the murder scene. As the trial unfolded, Carly's family endured years of anguish, hoping the truth would finally come to light and justice would prevail. During the car ride on that fateful day, tensions between Carly and SL Newsome erupted once again. This time, their argument spiraled out of control. Fueled by Newsome's pathological jealousy, in a fit of rage, he attacked Carly, brutally ending her life. Newsom, who often bragged about his martial arts experience, was known for claiming he had competed in and won 20 matches. He spoke of training with world champions and often lamented that he could have achieved greatness in the sport had he started earlier. This self-perception of physical dominance made the violence he inflicted all the more horrific. The forensic examination revealed the gruesome extent of Carly's injuries, painting a chilling picture of the violence she endured. Carly had suffered 13 fractures to her trunk and limbs, with almost all of her ribs broken and her spine severely damaged. Her cause of death was determined to be a traumatic brain injury caused by a blunt object, though the medical examiners couldn't specify which blow had been fatal. Carly had sustained 23 skull fractures in total. The sheer brutality of the assault indicated a deeply personal and rage-fueled attack, leaving no doubt in investigators' minds that this was a premeditated act of violence. As the investigation progressed, chilling evidence of Newsom's calculated behavior began to surface. A search of his home uncovered a hidden shoebox containing a map that outlined the areas being searched for Carly. The map also marked the locations of surveillance cameras, suggesting that Newsom had taken careful steps to avoid detection. Carly's body, when discovered, was still clothed in the same outfit she had worn on the day she disappeared, leading investigators to conclude that she had been killed shortly after being taken. This detail further investigation revealed even more damning evidence of Newsom's duplicity. Before filing the missing person report, he had edited the photo used in the announcement, an act that baffled investigators. He had also offered a $20,000 reward for information leading to Carly's whereabouts, yet his bank records showed that he never had the funds to back up the offer. This was no oversight. Detectives concluded that Newsom made the gesture knowing no new information would surface, because he was the one responsible for Carly's death. It became clear that his public efforts were a calculated attempt to deflect suspicion and remain close to the investigation. In his attempts to manipulate the narrative, Newsom had actively participated in the search for Carly from the very beginning. He questioned local residents along her presumed route, claiming to be a concerned partner seeking answers. But these efforts backfired when he unintentionally provided specific details about the location of Carly's body to her father, details that had never been shared publicly. This, coupled with the mounting physical and circumstantial evidence, sealed Newsom's fate as the prime suspect in Carly's murder, marking a chilling conclusion to a case that had haunted her family and community for years. During the investigation, a critical trap was set to catch S.L. Newsom in a lie. Investigators presented him with photos staged at a different location, carefully designed to test his story's consistency. Newsom's attempts to manipulate the narrative unraveled further when forensic analysis of his Google account revealed a suspicious search: how to delete a profile. This search had been conducted just before Carly's social media account was mysteriously erased, linking him directly to the act. These seemingly minor details ultimately formed a powerful chain of evidence against him, solidifying the case. The motive for Carly's murder became glaringly evident: Newsom's obsessive and irrational jealousy. On the day of her death, Carly had shared that her daughter was not at home when she arrived at Andrew Easton's house, forcing her to spend over an hour alone with her ex-partner while waiting. This revelation ignited Newsom's fury. Enraged by the thought of her spending time with Easton, Newsom intercepted Carly as she walked to McDonald's. It was there, in a tragic culmination of his jealousy and anger, that he brutally ended her life. Investigators pieced together the timeline, showing how his actions were driven by an uncontrollable possessiveness. Despite the mounting evidence, Newsom steadfastly maintained his innocence. He repeatedly claimed he had been transparent with authorities and had nothing to hide. "Someone committed this crime, but it wasn't me," he declared. "I will fight to the end to prove my innocence." However, his protestations were overshadowed by the overwhelming weight of circumstantial evidence. Thank you for joining us in this episode. If you found this story intriguing, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share it with others. Your support keeps us bringing you more compelling stories. Stay curious, stay informed, and we'll see you next time with another gripping story.